Hi students. It's week 2, but we are still on chapter 1. That's okay, because chapter 1 is really important. There's a lot of terms, a lot of new things to learn. So we're actually at the bottom of page 18 in your workbook or your textbook. This week we're going to learn about the functions of the EHR and the functions of the PM side, the practice management side. And also you'll hear about what's called a PHR, which is actually your personal health record. And I don't know, has anyone created a personal health record? I'd be interested to hear that. Maybe in lab or send me a message in Canvas and let me know how that's going. Anyway, at this point in the chapter, it's also important to recognize that, once again, the paper record and the electronic record, we're really collecting the same data. We're just storing it differently, and we may just take a little while to find where things are. Remember the 8 facts that we did last week? Well, this week, those were just the 8 facts that we document, but this week, we've got 8 functions. Please don't confuse these. The 8 functions, let me just read the list here too, and you'll find these in there. The functions that we're going to talk about will be demographics, results management, order management, decision support, electronic communication and connectivity, patient support, administrative processes, and lastly, reporting and population management. So all of these are going way beyond documentation and the functionality of the EHR. So this information is found in the pages 19 to 21. And I really suggest that you read this thoroughly before you even go on to look at the PowerPoint. And this PowerPoint then will make more sense afterwards. So let's look at one of those 8, just to give you an example. So I just chose number 5, and number 5 was the, hold on, let me get back here. Number 5 was the electronic communication and connectivity. So you might wonder, well, how does that happen with the EHR? And most patients will see more than one physician, not on the same day necessarily, but in their lifetime. And so the hope is that we will be able to connect between all of the physicians that you see. And one way to do that is that we don't have to repeat all the documentation and the paperwork. I don't know about you, but every time I go in and I do a registration form, I'm thinking, couldn't they just pass this on to the next physician? So that's something that they are working on, and that's considered connectivity too. However, there are other things that we want to share. Do you remember my story about the x-rays last time? Well, what if we never even had to ask for those x-rays? If we just could send them on their way to whichever doctor we saw, whatever month we saw them in, whatever year we saw them in. I don't know how long they store x-rays, but it would be really nice to be able to do that. Here's the problem though. With the functionality here of communication and connectivity, sometimes they don't play well together, or connect together. They're working on that as we speak, and the vendors are trying to make sure that all the different products will be able to do this. Now, if you had a vendor product such as Cerner, and you saw all your doctors that had Cerner as their vendor product, obviously they could send anything they wanted between the different offices, and that would be great. They'll send their labs, x-rays, physician's notes, the referral, and so on. So you wouldn't have to be requesting everything. What a nice world, right? So now the other thing is, for the private health record or your personal health record, you could say to the doctor, could you please just send those labs that you just took, could you send them to my personal health record? And they will do that. They get your email and they'll send it to you. You can get other things too from your record. Don't expect to get every little detail. They will send certain parts of it, and you can create and maintain your own record at home and have that available if you see a doctor maybe out of town, or maybe you move to a new physician's office that hasn't implemented their electronic health record yet. So that's the private one, that's in there. There's also a section in there about advantages and disadvantages. So I just want to tell you that the biggest advantage probably right now, as we're several years into this process, would be the efficiency. In the beginning, not so much. However, we're quickly finding out that the biggest disadvantage is security. So I'm sure you've heard about breaches in the security on the news or on articles, this type of thing. So it is a topic for one of your discussions that I'm going to or have posted for you. Also, we'll talk about the functions of the PM side, the practice management side. So those are covered in this chapter. I always say think financial. So anything that has to do with the financial end of it, whether you're billing the patient, following up on the claims, checking the financial eligibility of the person's insurance, whatever it is, think financial, that's the practice management side. And then the medical documentation and billing cycle is the last part in this chapter, and that starts on page 26. There's a wonderful figure and display there. There are 10 steps. Each chapter is going to be covering one of those steps in great detail. So don't worry that there won't be too much in this. Then in future labs, we're going to get into the watch it, try it, and apply it. I can't wait for us to start that. But for the first few weeks, we're really going to be in the learning mode with what are these terms, what's in the electronic health record, and the PM side. All right, that's it. I'll see you in lab.